Unity with the land. Unity with the animals.
The whole theme of the convention this year is celebrating our unity. But we can't really be unified until we figure out what it is that unifies us.
Welcome to today's episode of the Trickster Times. I'm your host, Kekayerte Makmantur, back in the studio with some stories from the first day of the Alaska Federation of Natives Convention, and the theme is celebrating our unity. To coincide with the first day of AFN, a rally was held with the theme Defending Our Ways of Life. As Lindsay Berlini from Always Indigenous Media reports, the rally highlights why people should be united not just with each other, but with the land and animal relatives too.
About 50 people gathered in the pouring rain in Anchorage's Town Square Park at a rally hosted by Native Movement, United Tribes of Bristol Bay, the Mother Kuskokwim Tribal Coalition, and the Herring Protectors. It's an annual rally that highlights issues that usually aren't brought up at the AFN convention, things like climate change and protecting the land.
And I thank the Creator for such a beautiful day as this.
George Hawley is Dehitan Athabaskan, and he does a lot of language work with the Doyon Foundation. He opened up the rally with a song and a prayer. Salmon is a way of life for tribes throughout Alaska, and protecting salmon was the call to action for multiple speakers. Dolores Larson from United Tribes of Bristol Bay gave an update on the Pebble Mine and says that permanent protections for Bristol Bay need to be put in place. Ananaha Sophie Irene Swope with the Mother Kuskokwim Tribal Coalition also spoke about protecting salmon in her region, the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, where Donlin Gold is trying to build a mine. It would be the largest open-pit mine in the world, and the waste from the mine would have to be treated in perpetuity.
And I think that is insane, to have it right there in the heart of our livelihood, where we have our culture surrounded around our fish.
Charlie Wright and Sharon Hildebrand with Tanana Chiefs Conference says that people at the AFN convention need to stand and support salmon when resolutions protecting them are brought to the floor.
We all are connected through salmon. We need to show up, stand up, and speak up.
Anoke Denise Olin is from Nome, and she talked about how fish camps have been destroyed by storms and erosion being caused by climate change. The increase in the number and the severity of storms, like the one that came from Typhoon Merbok, is putting the safety of villages at risk. Her village of Shishmaref has been trying to relocate for years.
And many of our villages across Western Alaska have been advocating tirelessly to be able to move our communities in a dignified way.
The last speaker was Dion Brady Howard with the Herring Protectors. As she got up to speak, two people walked up to the stage, one wearing a blue robe honoring the herring, and one wearing a red robe that shames the herring fishery and the state of Alaska for their poor management of the fishery. Brady Howard questioned AFN's unity theme this year.
The whole theme of the convention this year is celebrating our unity. But we can't really be unified until we figure out what it is that unifies us.
She says it isn't about being against a cause, but being for protecting the land and all that it offers.
We are here because we all have something that we are defending. Whether it's our herring, whether it's our salmon or our caribou, we're all defending our very way of life. Our leaders need to do that as well.
She says the fishery has been taking more and more herring without listening to the traditional knowledge of the Tlingit people of Sitka. Historically, herring populations have been abundant, but have been declining since Western management took over. Paulette Moreno ended the rally with a prayer, holding herring eggs up into the air while doing so. Reporting in Anchorage, I'm Lindsay Berlini.
Another example of an issue that AFN doesn't really want to talk about is the Ambler Industrial Access Road.
I actually emailed AFN like a few months ago asking if I can go and speak about the Ambler Road and, inform people and educate them.
Did you hear back from them?
No, they didn't email me back.
At a meeting Wednesday, Angel Stickman of Shugnak, along with other opponents of the road, said that the road and the associated access to new mining in the Northwest Alaska would destroy the region's ways of life.
Electric cars and money is not worth the destruction of my homelands and the water and the people and the food. And then actually there's over 39 village tribes that are against the Ambler Road and have written, written letters saying that they are against the Ambler Road. So I don't understand why they're trying to do this.
If you go to northern.org, you can submit a comment to the Bureau of Land Management from now through November 4th. During an AFN panel discussion this afternoon, we heard from Alaskans and nuclear experts on how micronuclear reactors could become a source of quote, unquote, renewable energy for the state as soon as 2027. Vladimir Novak, Chief Commercial Officer for the ultra-safe nuclear corporation, stated, "It's not old clear, it's nuclear." These micronuclear plants only have a life expectancy of 8 years before needing to be replaced by the company, something that would be difficult for rural Alaska. And while nuclear energy technically produces zero carbon emissions, the radioactive waste it creates is toxic, making it a false solution to our energy crisis. Dr. Diane Hirschberg, director of the Institute of Social and Economic Research at the University of Alaska Anchorage, said, "This conversation is just a start. We need communities and tribes at the forefront, asking hard questions." According to the World Nuclear Association, nuclear waste is neither particularly hazardous nor hard to manage relative to other toxic wastes. Also, according to the World Nuclear Association, most nuclear waste produced is hazardous for a few decades and is routinely disposed of in near-surface facilities. So, what's going to happen as permafrost thaws?
Day one of the convention's plenary floor saw some speeches and addresses from key Alaskan and national political figures, each of them stressing, in some capacity, the need for partnership between tribes, Alaska Native corporations, the state of Alaska, and our nation. Interior Secretary Deb Haaland stressed that she intends to be an ally for Alaska, acknowledging that preservation of Alaska's ecosystems is vital to tribal and rural continuity. She spoke on her work on issues of access to healthcare, infrastructure, and creating the Department of Interior's Tribal Advisory Committee to engage tribes in helping form the department's tribal policies. Secretary Haaland's work helped inform some recent successes for Indian country coming out of the Biden administration, including funding set aside for environmental restoration and preservation work. Congresswoman Mary Peltola received an enthusiastic welcome as she took the plenary stage. Peltola said, addressing Alaska's challenges and taking advantages of future opportunities will require unity, but that current political division eliminates our lack of unity. At her closing, Congresswoman Peltola said the only way we can rebuild abundance into the next 10,000 years is through unity and using disciplined minds when building bridges. House District 38 Representative Tiffany Zolkowski delivered the Bush Caucus update and discussed, among many other pieces of legislation, House Bill 123, in which 229 federally recognized tribes are now recognized by the state of Alaska as well, and House Bill 184, which allows tribes better self-determination in tribal child welfare cases. Back to you, Maka.
Governor Dunleavy took the stage not once, but twice during today's programming. And wow, look at that audience. Absolutely riveted. In other news, results from the Nenana Totchaket land sale came out yesterday. Without consulting the tribe in Nenana, the state held auctions on 2,686 acres of traditional harvesting and hunting lands. Private investors submitted bids from June 1st through October 4th to develop and clear-cut at least 5% of the land. As part of its land back campaign, Native Movement raised over $140,000 to support the Tla Denadao community group in buying back their ancestral lands. The team successfully won 42 acres in the bid. Hashtag land back. That's all for today's show. If you're in town, come visit the Native Movement booth at AFN, pick up a free copy of Trickster Times, and as always, find us online at alwaysindigenous.media and nativemovement.org. On Tlain Gynulchish and Suye Kwisitin. We'll see you again.